Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. This is part two of this is the other part to that first video. Um, I realized that it's a lot in this chapter. It's a lot to be videotaping, so video recording or whatever. So I'm just gonna go through some of the things that he mentioned as far as group economics. Group, how we should vote. He talked about a voting block. Better yet, he talked about reparations. Okay, now this is step number 8. I'm going to read step number 8 because it deals with reparations. And this is in chapter 7 of PowerNomics, the National Plan to Empower Black America. Okay, I'm not going to read, I was going to read the entire chapter, but there's a lot in this chapter that it will take a lot of recording space, and I don't want to bore you guys with with too much of this reading. So I'm going to read political action step number 8. And if you want, you could buy the book. You should buy the book to support Dr. Claude Anderson. And I will give you that information after I get done with the political action step. And this is concerning our reparations movement. It says here, political action step number 8, mobilize a reparation movement to place Black Americans in a status equal to American Indians with the legal claims on the appropriation of labor, property, and life. And he goes to say, Black Americans are entitled to monetary compensation from the government and private sector and private sector for the myriads of loss that blacks have suffered, especially as a result of their ancestors being denied the fruits of their labor. Similarly, their descendants are due compensation for the compounded and unjust legacies of slavery and Jim Crow, semi-slavery. In terms of benefits to Black America, both integration and affirmative action were dead on arrival. However, the structural inequalities and racial monopolies that they should have eliminated remain active and deleterious. The best recourse for Black America is reparations, and it should be made a national issue. It is no longer simply a subject for parlor room. It says is no longer simply a subject for parlor room discussions, but an absolute necessity. I'm sorry, y'all. It is the most effective mechanism to deliver long overdue economics justice to Black Americans. Throughout history, our political and legal systems have compensated injured parties, including white indentured servants, freedom dues, southern slaveholders, monetary reparations, and approximately 1 billion acres of land. Japan, billions of dollars in the Point 4 program. Germany, millions of dollars in the Marshall Plan. Japanese Americans, billions of dollars in reparations for World War II internment camps. Jews, billions of dollars for the German Holocaust survivors. American Indians billions of dollars in land, cash payments, and public assistance. And now even cigarette smokers, billions of dollars in damage awards. All of these groups receive reparations and monetary compensation. You hear him? Monetary compensation. That means that they were given money, not programs. And that's reparations is money and other resources. It says all of these groups receive reparations and monetary compensation for personal injuries and unjust enrichment. Black people victims of it says black people victims of the worst Holocaust in history have not received an apology nor compensation, in part because they failed to mobilize a reparations movement and demand compensation from all nations, governments, wealthy families, churches, and corporations that be that profited from slavery. Although some may be skeptical, Black Americans will be granted reparations. This nation has no other choice but to deliver on its long overdue economic justice to Black Americans. It would be an international embarrassment for this country to espouse democratic principles of fairness and justice and to continue holding Black Americans in the economic ditches created by the laws of the nation. Domestically, should this nation continue to avoid its obligation to Black Americans, it is running the risk of alienating its most loyal and patriotic citizen, Black people. As the reparation movement grows, Black Americans will search for precedents and models. Most Black reparation organizations look for the Japanese American Reparations Bill and strategies employed by the Jews in their legal action against Volkswagen and Mercedes-Benz. Both of these have merit, but are not the best models for Black Americans who, like American Indians, have a historical constitutional relationship with this country. Neither Jews nor Japanese have such a relationship. Moreover, neither group was in this country when the Constitution established special relationships with Blacks and American Indians. Even though there is still great poverty among Indians, they receive many opportunities and advantages because of their special constitutional status. Both federal and state governments, through the Bureau of Indian Affairs and state Indian commissions, have historically allocated to Indians various forms of compensation, such as free land, medical services, housing assistance, economic development funds, tools and equipment, tuition-free education, casino licenses, and tax exemptions. Although initially these benefits were targeted only to Indians confined to reservations, within the last half a century they were extended to all who claimed to be Indians. Now Indians are getting double benefits. They get the benefit of being a citizen living off the reservation, as well as the benefit of being a non-citizen living on the reservation. The benefit did not change when they were declared citizens at the turn of the 20th century. It says Black people have an even stronger constitutional relationship with this nation than do with this nation than do Indians. Therefore, it should be easier to track American Indians and justify benefits for black Americans. Other models are insufficient. For instance, neither the Japanese nor Jewish people I'm sorry, let me go back. For instance, neither the Japanese nor Jewish model have a constitutional basis. The Jewish Holocaust did not take place in America, and there were no Japanese in America during black slavery. It should be easier for blacks to demand reparations by tracking the same path that American Indians took to get their special programs. Bureau preferences, tax exemptions, and other advantages. For centuries, American Indians and their descendants have received reparations while black Americans have been ignored. The United States Constitution specifically designated black people and Indians living on reservations as non-citizens and excluded both groups from certain rights and privileges. Blacks were mentioned four times, and Indians twice. The Constitution did not apply to Indians not living on reservations. The path Indians took to reparations that blacks could track is summarized below. And it gives several bullet points. Okay. It says Indians filed a natural rights claim against the land on the behalf of their ancestors. Then it says blacks should file a natural law claim against governments, religions, and businesses for death, injury, and unjust enrichment on behalf of the victims of slavery and Jim Crow peonage. Indians sought and received public apologies from state and federal governments. Blacks should seek public apologies from all levels of government, religions, and business. Indians convinced whites to invest resources to preserve and reinvent Indian culture. Blacks should secure public and private funding for a black Holocaust and cultural museum. Indians had government economics calculate the value of expropriate Indian lands. Blacks should demand that government calculate the value of expropriated black labor, deaths, and property. Indians drafted their own civilized tribes constitution and formed governing council. Blacks should adopt a national black empowerment plan and form a political party. Indians declared themselves to be a foreign nation and developed separate communities. Blacks should declare themselves a nation within a nation and rebuild black communities. Indians allow themselves to be declared domestic dependent nation. Let me repeat that. Indians allow themselves to be declared domestic dependent nations and wards of the government who needed to be protected under the doctrine of trust. The federal government became responsible for their care and well-being as a poor and powerless people. It says blacks should seek to be protected under a similar doctrine of trust that protects and entitles them to double benefits and tax exemptions. Herein lies Black America's best model, since they, as slaves, were also declared subjects and dependent upon the majority white society. Black America is just as dependent today as ever were. Unlike Black American Indians on and off the reservations have used their historical relationship with the U.S. Constitution to get special benefits. They are a protective class, while Black Americans are in an unprotected class. They currently have 237 reservations, but they also have approximately 257 gambling casinos that bring in more revenue than all the 535,000 black businesses put together. Congress has the authority to award funds to Indians. It also has the authority to award funds to black ex-slaves, according to the Civil Rights Act of 1866. On October 18, 2000, the Washington Post reported that Congress had exercised its authority to aid Indians when it awarded a New Mexico Indian tribe 23 million and about 4,600 acres to settle lawsuits over land that the tribe claimed under a grant from the King of Spain more than 300 years ago. Again, in a move that would cost taxpayers billions of dollars, Congress on October the 27, 2000, urged the Clinton administration to settle a lawsuit over mismanagement of trust accounts for about 500,000 American Indians. Indians are getting benefits that go back centuries, and blacks are listening to skeptics tell them they are not entitled to reparations because slavery ended more than a century ago, and semi-slavery ended nearly a half a century ago. Clearly, any black reparations movement should track Indians as a model and seek similar nation status. Black Americans are on the verge of becoming a permanent underclass in American society. Hearings need to be held to specifically document and financially quantify the injury to black people. From centuries of slavery and Jim Crow semi-slavery, the findings should be used to ascertain the many ways that black people were harmed. The hearings should provide the foundation for the corrective action of economics, education, and other areas. They should be used to develop legal theories and policies for reparations. Making restitution for damages in root in the legal system and has been used by industrialized nations as a mechanism for apologizing and correcting institutional wrongs. Restitution has been made to nearly every group that has claimed injury except black people. The hearing should determine the most appropriate forms of reparations and how benefits will be distributed. As much as possible, settlements should track the multiple forms of reparations received by Indians. Organizations should be established for the specific purpose of receiving and administering settlement agreements and assets in a way to make Black America self-sufficient and competitive. In the civil rights movement, If the civil rights movement was successful, redirected away from blacks and to everyone, blacks must expect that there will be efforts by both blacks and whites to hijack reparations. Black America must be especially careful not to allow conservatives, liberals, black leaders, or any others who are ill-informed or operating in self-interest to derail or misfocus reparations efforts. Activities that are imprecise and based on poor or superficial scholarships will confuse the issue and kill the movement. If the reparations movement is derailed, Black Americans' last hope for economic justice will also be forever thwarted. The only way that the growing number of activities can result in benefits come to all blacks is if the individual efforts are directed to the same outcome: economic justice for descendants of black slaves and a black America that is self-sufficient and competitive. Appendix B is a reparations plan in schematic form that can be used to guide Black America towards reparations and economic justice. It will also be helpful to those in the general public working to understand the issue. Okay, that's where I'm going to stop in reading this book. This book here is very informative. I would recommend this book in every black person's home library. Not only this book, this is just one of Dr. Claude Anderson's book. Hold on a second, I'm gonna get the other books that he has. Okay, we have four other books here that he wrote. I just got through reading I just got through reading a 2-part reading from chapter 7 in this book. It's called PowerNomics: The National Plan to Empower Black America. And then this one is called Black Labor, Black Wealth. No, it's called Black Labor, White Wealth. This one is called Dirty Little Secrets about Black History, its heroes, and other troublemakers. This one is More Dirty Little Secrets about Black History and its heroes and other troublemakers, Volume 2. Okay, and this one is a Black History Reader, 101 Questions You Never Thought to Ask. Now, we should have all 5 of these books in our home library, because he covered a lot of things that you probably didn't know that was going on in the history of us being here in America. And I haven't read all of them yet, but I did read a lot of this book, Black Labor, White Wealth. It has a lot of things in here. But I'm not going to keep this video long, so I hope you enjoyed me reading some of those chapters to you to help you decide whether or not you want to take it further with learning about what we should do to enrich our political power in this country. And another reason why I wanted to read from that book is that we're in a election season, and it's been a lot that's been thrown at us black men about who we should vote for. Me myself, I'm not voting Democrat. I'm gonna vote for who I feel that their policies will work for me and my family. That's who I'm gonna vote for. And the Democrat Party is not where I'm looking to vote. I'm not voting Democrat. I'm gonna either vote for an independent party or maybe Donald Trump. I might vote for Donald Trump, but I'm not voting Democrat. So there you have it, Obama. I'm not voting for your girl. And it has nothing to do with she's a woman. I don't agree with Biden's policy. And she said that she's going to continue. She said that all those decisions that Biden made, she was there and she was in full agreement. So there's no way I'm going to vote for her, because if I was to vote for her, I will be saying that I'm in agreement with his policy, and I'm sure as hell not in agreement with his policies. But that's all I got for now. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you will subscribe, and I hope to see you on the next video. Thank you.